Drum roll, and I think we're live.
We are live.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Musty Wargamers show. And tonight, on with me is my other host, Palmer.
Hello, everybody.
And
Looks like we're getting started on the channel here, and we got the chat window open, and it is time to get things started.
you know, I don't have the chat window open. I am epically failing here.
It's time to get things started on the Musty Wargamers show tonight.
Yeah, I better actually do something here. You know.
Okay, we already got somebody in here. Bug Club Kingdom, hello. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, and oh yeah, is it Bug Club Kingdom? Okay.
It says time for the game.
All right, time for the game. Well, I don't know how much gaming we're going to be doing, but we're going to be talking about games.
That's right. There'll be a lot of talking about games.
Oh, so. Just coming in, we have a live commentary coming in from Canada.
Then it must be about hockey, right?
you know it, eh? All I know is that the Minnesota Wild are not in the playoffs this year, you know. So it kind of sucks for me.
Well, we've got great topics this evening, but like usual, we will start with a sort of little chat about what we've been up to, share our musty drinks, and then we also are going to share just photos of our Musty Wargamer Challenge miniatures, because we each kind of finished ours for the challenge, or at least a couple of them. Rusty, you're going to be doing a couple more? Is that you're going to be doing some more?
I have them sitting on the table over there. I just haven't had a chance to get. I finished these BattleTech stuff yesterday, and I haven't picked up the couple miniatures I want to add to the collection. So I have all made to get them done. So
good, awesome. Well, what are you doing? What are you having for your musty drink tonight?
Well, let's see. Tonight I am going to have. It's called Confluence Brewing. It's an old standby coming back.
Nice.
Extinction Event, New England style IPA.
And that's the local beer, right? That you were telling me about. That's Confluence. They're local to you, right?
Yep, they're 5 minutes away.
Nice. I am having Innocent Gun Session IPA. So,
Innocent Gun. Okay.
Yeah. So this is a good one. I have had this one before.
Yeah, that's it. It smells good from what I can see. Or is that just
from over there? You can smell it.
And as I pour it into my Guinness glass, it's making a return with my name on it.
That's right. I remember that one. All right. So,
oh, that's tasty.
Did you want to show your miniatures that you had done for the challenge this year?
Well, I'm just sitting here admiring your pour.
There's still a little left, just a little bit of foam.
Yeah. I'll say as I get mine out, it's like, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Guinness. And you can see my name. It's right there. All right. So, put on my eyeballs here.
Yes, Bug Club Kingdom, you so far are the only person here. We had just started.
All right, so you can see the assortment of everything that's all nice and done here.
Nice.
All done. And I'll bring up the pigs here.
Yeah.
These
your big BattleTech.
Yeah, the monsters. 135 tons of beastie.
Nice. You don't see that often, huh?
No. Well, you have to go about 100 years in the future of when BattleTech usually is played to find these guys. This is the I think this is the Ares.
Nice.
As you can see, it's like your typical, battle mechs compared to each other. How big this?
Yeah, a lot bigger. Hello, Scott Smith, and hello, Lord Draconum. We got 2 more people joining us.
Hey, Smitty's in here.
Scott Smith says, looking good to the BattleTech stuff.
Yep, so I got those. If anybody wants to see any other ones, so I got plenty of them.
Yep.
Smitty, he's a good friend of mine. He's local.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that's Smitty from YouTube. Okay, because I know who Smitty is. Sure. If
Okay.
that's the same Smitty.
Well, there's many Smiths.
Okay.
So then we got the assorted vehicles that go
Nice.
with it. So that's what I worked on, and I started cranking a little bit of work out at night instead of like I was too busy during the day doing other stuff, so I just did some work at night and an hour or two there and cranked them out. And it's like, all right, I'm gonna knuckle down and get them done. And they got a good reception because I went onto the BattleTech forums and posted them, and everybody went hog wild. And then I posted a video of it, and that video is like, you know, went off the rails for the number of people watching it very quickly.
Cool. Well, I'll do a little bit of a screen share, like we said. I'll show my Beastmen, just the main block, not without command. And let's try this. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Right now.
Not yet.
All right, let's see here.
I'm just watching the. It's the.
Oh, here we go. Share. I had to hit the button share. Okay, so here you go. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see her now.
Okay, so yeah, that's my Beastmen block. I don't know if you can see my pointer here, but
yep.
This is just sort of like my video thumb, and I've got some that I painted, some shields as well. Some of them are in the back there that I painted, and then I did some Chaos Undivided shield. So that's the main block of my Beastmen. And then there's still command that's not in there, and some sorcerers or shamans, I should say. And then there's also this guy, which I just put up on YouTube, and that's my Ralpartha Frost Giant. Now, I didn't really paint him with white skin like a Frost Giant. I'm using him more like a regular giant. But yeah, it was really, he's one of my favorite miniatures as far as giants go. Like, I just have always liked this sculpture. I think this is 1979. It's an old one. And so looking forward to using him. I could use him really in some facets for 28 mil, but he's kind of on the smaller side. But I'm also looking at potentially using him in the AD&D battle systems for 15 mil. So he'll be quite a large giant, you know, but maybe potentially good for 15 mil. Yeah, so I'm going to stop sharing now. And so I should be back like normal, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I see you now. I'm just watching the interactive bubbles coming off your ale there.
There you go. They're not. It's waiting for me to take a sip here.
Yeah, the entire time it's like you're sitting there talking. I've been imbibing way too much already.
Lord Draconum says the Ares is nice,
yeah, it's a nice the Ares. Well, and then obviously this is the Poseidon. So
let's see here,
that one right there.
Oh, nice.
So. Yeah, it's got the big, giant, massive missile launcher up on top.
Yep. Dan Booman has joined the show. And
hey, Dan.
He says, hello, Dan. And Smitty just mentioned that he's off early enough tonight to watch. So that is awesome. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, he's like a manager for a restaurant. So obviously, must have been a slow night for him. So,
all right.
Be able to get on.
So we still have a number of folks that, all right, I know there are folks that are still working on their projects too. So the Musty Wargamer, you know, projects are still going on for some. Rusty and I were just talking about before the show. We're going to try to do this twice a year because we enjoy it. I think we'll look at after our summer hiatus for the show and we go into season 3. We'll likely be doing shortly after in the beginning another Musty Oldhammer challenge. So that'll be fun. So
yeah, anything that's Oldhammer. I consider anything Oldhammer is like 2000 and older. That's
as long as it's classic miniatures too. I agree with you, and it's, you know, it's if it's classic, it's like the rock stations say, if it's classic, it's here.
It's classic rock. Yeah.
That's right. We play it if it's classic.
It's 20 years old or older. It's classic.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun challenge to pull stuff out that's older. I mean, there are plenty of painting challenges on the internet, and we encourage those too, and join those occasionally as well. But this is just a fun one because you're grabbing old stuff.
Yeah, we're grabbing old stuff and cleaning out your pile of shame. You know, your boxes of shame.
Striker is joined. Hello, Striker. We've got a full house.
All right. Stryker must have finished up his live stream. He was doing over on Twitch tonight at 7, so he must have just finished, got over here.
Sweet. Well, what do you think? Shall we introduce the topics for tonight?
Well, we have a couple topics. If you want to carry them off, we got
Sure.
Well, the first topic we should be talking about is balancing everything.
That's right. Do you want me to start that and have you answer like usual, or how do you want to do it? It's on your show, your show tonight. It's up to you.
Well, I think we'll have you kick off.
Oh no! I gotta take another sip. I gotta think. All right. So introduce it. Introduce the first one.
All right. So we have the topic is balancing life, gaming, family, other hobbies, whatever it may be, because when you have multiple hobbies, it's hard to balance what you're doing. It's like my next door neighbors just last Friday had a new baby, and I know what it's like to go through 2 of those, and how to balance all that and try to have some type of gaming hobbies or other hobbies to go with it. So,
right,
Mr. Family Guy, what do you say?
Well, always a tricky thing. Now, I find that, and there's truth to this, and I think that the typical answer when people stress about their hobby, when they talk about other things going on, like what everybody will say is family's more important, working's more important, the hobby will always be there, you can always come back to it. Like, these are comments that are good advice, solid advice for the ages, for us hobbyists, but I'd like to maybe delve a little deeper, because since that is the normal, typical answer, I'd like to kind of take that a step further in my thought here, in that, it's true that, we can have a lot of competing priorities, and there are some priorities that are more important than others. And like, your family is obviously more important than your hobby for most people. And work is the thing that gives us livelihoods to be able to take care of our family and to afford things for the hobby. So again, more important. But then at the end of the day, and then we can have other hobbies as well, which many of us will have more than one thing we're into. Like, I know for you, Rusty, that you're into several things. I mean, I know you've mentioned like watercolor, and you're into the ham radio stuff, and like you've mentioned that on your channel, like just different stuff that you're into. And so you have to balance it all out. So when it comes to hobbies, I do think that you need to just essentially kind of prioritize what you enjoy the most. You essentially do. I find for family and work and stuff like that, I was into another hobby at one point that required, I had an instructor for this hobby, and I did it for quite a long time. And my teacher said to me once something that I never really forgot, and that was, you have a lot of priorities in life, and it's okay that like your family and your work comes in front of your passion or your pursuit. Like, that's totally fine. Like, it's acceptable. But sometimes, he had said, like, sometimes you need to find a point where you do prioritize this interest and for it to become better at it. And so even though it's not to say that you will like say that this interest or whatever activity it is more important than your family, but there may be a time when you could be spending time with a family member, but instead you're saying, I actually have to do this. Like, this is something I want to do. And, like, you're actually carving out some time among all these competing priorities. You're not actually letting that person fall into a pit of fire. You're not actually not going and showing up to work. It's not that you're doing something extreme, but there are times when you even have to take the thing that's priority number 3 or 4, and you need to sometimes bring it up to the front, like carve a piece of time and say, this is some dedicated time. And so for me, like that was interesting, because it wasn't really what people normally say. And, so I normally, when I balance stuff, I try to just carve out a piece of time of my day, but my family and my work and like those other things always take first priority. But then like I do try in my free time to find something and prioritize. Like, so for the wargaming, whether I'm doing the Musty Wargamer Challenge this month or I'm doing something else, I'll try to maybe carve out an hour to paint. It may be that if I have a day where I have a block of time, but it's once a week, that instead of doing 2 hours each day for a few days or an hour each day, that I carve out a few hours, and actually get it all done there. But then I have a day before and after where I do very little hobbying. And so it really is going to work differently for everyone. But I really thought it was interesting that, sometimes your number 3 or number 4 priority in your life has to take priority number 1, like just even for just a limited window of time, and like the way you kind of prioritize it. And so I thought that was neat. So yeah, I think the way I typically balance it is just normally trying to spread it out over time and really having those hours and minutes pile up by just kind of doing a little bit here, a little bit there, maybe a little bit before work, going into work, a little bit at the end of the day. I take kids to activities where I have time windows. And so I may take them to an activity where they're there for 2 hours, and I may come back and actually use an hour of it to do some painting. And so that's kind of how I balance things. You're trying to just keep all the balls up in the air. So what say you? Like, this is unusual. Like, I'm getting the first kick in. Now you can actually critique my answer.
You are wrong, man. That ain't what you do.
How could you talk about your kids that way?
It's all about me, man. Screw everybody. It's me. All right. Yeah, it's you brought up a whole bunch of good points. Is that it? Like when I was big into the Striker was around there at the same time, and Smitty was also one of the early. He's one of the guys that we used to play all the time when he's the 80s guy, one of the guys I played with in the 80s. So it was up until they had the family, it was more or less, it's like you had the wife, then you had work, and then whatever free time you wanted to toss in. And occasionally it's like I loved hunting, fishing, working on cars and all that fun stuff. And the pop-ups keep coming up on me, but it wouldn't be a live stream if there wasn't a pop-up.
Right, that's right.
So it was one of those things that I'm lucky enough that I have a wife that every once in a while says, get out, go do something, get out of the house, go by. It's like she wanted just some time to herself and say, okay, I'm going to go grab the old shotgun or rifle or whatever and disappear, or a fishing pole and disappear into the woods and whatnot, or go to the local game shop. And that's pretty much everything I did. Was that it's like if I'm not working, I'm either, a lot of times it's like when you're spending time with the family, I'd be sitting there watching, the TV's going on and you got your little painting tray or whatever right there. So you're interacting, sitting here, like, do a little bit. Yeah, it's okay. Talking. It's like, you're not doing something. Mostly it was Battletech, so I didn't have to. I kind of sucked at painting back then, so it wasn't too dramatic of a, losing concentration back then. Still in my infancy of trying to figure out how to paint good. So it was my philosophy was, it's like work was work. Well, the moment I walked out the door, I take that cassette out and say, put it on the shelf or leave it in the car. And it's like, I don't want to, I never liked talking about shop or anything what was going on at work when I got home. Cause it's like, I'm leaving that. It's like either the family's important or the hobby's important, or be it, or combining the two, like going camping or something of that nature.
Yeah.
But the hardest part of all of it was right after my son, when my firstborn was born, back in 94. So it shows you how old he is now. And it was like with your first kid, as you well know, it's like, this doesn't come with an instruction manual.
That's right.
I was like, how do I assemble this thing? It was like, it's crying. What do I do with it? Am I supposed to hold it like that? No. And so it was a little hectic, the old, I'd say for roughly 4 years, even after my daughter was born, 4 or 5 years, it was pretty much, the Striker was around at the same time. Because we always played a lot of games and stuff together. We were like two peas in a pod together. Mm-hmm. And it was a really hard balancing act. It was like, okay, I got an hour here, 2 hours or 3 hours. As you know, sometimes it's like, okay, the wife would say, you can be gone on a Saturday, because I usually Monday through Fridays are the days I worked, unless I had military service or something, then I'd be the weekends. But it's like, okay, you can be gone for 3 hours and then, or 3-4 hours. And when you come back, you're going to be spending all your time with the kid or kids, because I need my time alone. So it's like, okay, I'm penciling you in. Okay. Here, I'm taking the kid here, bracket, and then you got it here. And we'll just kind of, hopefully he does his own thing over here. So type of thing.
Is that where you had the thing where you strapped the kid in front of you while you rolled the dice and moved the men around?
I have done that. Yes. Literally.
Okay, I'll take the kid. Here we go.
Yeah. It's like we had a really disastrous game one time. We were playing BattleTech one time. We used to have a Striker knows about it. I had this big wood table that used to be right behind me, and we got these. I don't know if you can see them, but there's other behind the table back there. We got these tall bar stools, and my son was climbing up on it. He's like climbs up on top, and he's sitting there, and he wants to get down. And it's like, normally I pick him up, put him down. He wasn't going to wait. So he slid off, and his chop, he always like this all the time with his tongue hanging out like kids do. Yeah. And he came down and hit the bar stool. Ooh. And it was like blood everywhere. And it's like,
oh no.
Whoa, gosh. So it's like, I had my friend, it's like, we're going to the emergency clinic, because I'm not sure, because he bit right through his tongue. And he's like, you could probably see daylight through it. That was how bad.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, blow it up.
Yeah.
So it's where your hobby and your family can be a lot of interacting and fun. Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
But I'm lucky enough now that be that it's just now my wife, whatever work you have to do. And my kids are grown up, and occasionally they join us. And my daughter used to play more games with us, but now she's like, I can't do that stuff anymore, type of thing.
Yeah, interest wanes and things.
Yeah.
So we got a lot. I don't think we're going to be able to catch up with all the comments, but we got a lot of comments, and we have a Cobra Raider that joined us. And so hello, Cobra Raider. And so just looking through just some different comments here. A lot of folks kind of talking with each other about other stuff too. And so there was a comment earlier that, that different things take different priorities at different times, priorities, hobby, the wife, the hobby, the wife. And so, then just a bit of chit chat, which is encouraged among everyone watching. And so, you mentioned a lot of the good things too there, Rusty. I think one of the things that helps is just for me, and I think it's probably different for everybody, is just I have certain limits that I set, like within my week. And what I mean by that is Sunday for me is a day where I don't generally do any gaming. Like I usually will do family stuff on Sundays, always. And it could be at the end of the day a little bit of painting. It is possible that I actually could carve out an hour or two, but mostly the family stuff takes first priority, and to some degree Saturday nights is the same. I will try to sometimes I can get a game in on a Saturday, or I can get some painting in, but I also work a little bit on the weekends too, so that kind of throws that out. And so I do try to arrange games so I have like a routine amount of gaming that happens on a regular basis. But at the end of the day, your work is basically, usually, it depends on what you do, but for me it's scheduled. And so that's pretty much, I know I'm going to be doing that. I know I'm there for my kids, like for activities, and know that I'm there, for time with my wife too, and just family. But then, it's just a matter of, I just structure things and set limits, and then I can usually carve out time for painting here and there, and then just schedule some gaming. And that's the way I kind of balance it all.
Yeah. It's, a lot easier nowadays for me, from having a little bit more free time now that I'm more self-employed type of thing. Mm-hmm. But it's able to make my own schedule. But back when I had a full-time job, it was a lot of stuff got done while I was right in front of a TV. spending time with the family. You know, we'd have a family show going on. The kids wanted to watch this or they want to watch that. And you're just sitting there, everything's set up and you're just like, everybody's watching. But, like you said, don't do anything on Sundays. That's family day. Like we always break out the board. Used to play lots and lots of board games.
Mm-hmm.
Or we played role-playing games too back at that time.
Yeah.
Back when, especially when my daughter used to be big into, she's still into high fantasy and all that, but she just doesn't want to interact with it anymore. She just likes reading it.
Yeah, sure.
And that was kind of the sad moments when you're losing your family to other aspects. You know, it's like now they're off doing their thing, they're working, and you kind of miss those days when you just sit around and have a little bit of family time together.
Yeah.
But it's a definite thing when it's like taking a certain hobby and like you said, moving it to the front of the order. Because if you're anything like me, there's more than just gaming hobbies. And occasionally you have to take one of your other hobbies and move it up and say, all right, everybody else goes to the back burner. I'm going to go do something else today. And just sometimes games can be stressful.
Yeah.
Especially when you get into some groups. We've had some other gamers in the past that sometimes you just want to reach across the table and but so then you get this like, man, I don't feel like gaming for a while.
Yeah. People come sometimes, you can get discouraged. I mean, with different things. I noticed that with folks, and it's like another topic actually we should put in there, just about like there are times when people get discouraged with their gaming group. But I often more than not lately find people that I know that get discouraged with a game in general. Like they actually are not mad at the people, but they're actually mad at the company and the game. And they're like, I don't even want to do this stuff anymore, like, and so.
Which kind of relates to our next topic.
A little bit, I guess, but and so that does happen. It's really a fortunate thing when you can find a gaming group with a bunch of people that you just sort of get along with, and you can kind of forgive each other's transgressions at times.
You're very odd idiosyncrasies.
Well, even just like if somebody has a bad day or whatever, like you know them enough, you've played enough that. It's not a big deal, like you can still come back and just start from scratch. And I think there are other times when you actually go to a gaming group, like you said, and like maybe there's somebody there that you don't play often, like they just happen to congregate around the same game at one point, and then you play them and you're like, oh, I don't even enjoy this. This ruined my day.
Yeah.
And that can happen too. I think everybody's experienced something like that once in a while.
Yeah, we had an individual that really, it's like, this was back in the 90s. Stryker knows this guy, and I won't say his name, but he probably knows who we're talking about. But he just sucked the life out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you'd show up at your shop and, hey, let's go play a game. And then he shows up, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, let me go get my stuff. I'll join you. And you're like, okay. It's like, man, I really don't. It's like, how do you tell somebody? It's like, I don't. It's like, I'm here to have fun, and you're not making it fun for me. It's like, I just got 3 hours. The wife gave me the okay to come back and play for 3 hours, and you're just like a leech.
Ruin it. We had somebody else join in, and I just wanted to say hello. We had, I don't know, maybe you shouted him out already, Rusty, Joe Schuster.
No, I haven't.
Okay, Joe Schuster is joined. Hello, Joe. Got lots of people on the show tonight. Welcome aboard. It's and so sometimes you kind of made a good point. I mean, sometimes you choose to balance based on where you're feeling it. Like if you're just not feeling the hobby at that point, you might just set it aside for a bit, which it's not outside the scope of the topic, but it's sort of a different take on it, because like if you assume that you want to do the hobby and you're balancing all these things and it's time constraints, and that's one way to take it. But you mentioned another thing, like sometimes you actually balance it by taking a break and getting some time in these other areas, and then realizing kind of how much you miss it, and just kind of and then come back to it. And we do that during the summer, right? Like when we take a break from the show, I actually take a month. I usually like to take the month of July off from hobbying altogether. And I find that I come back so energized afterwards that it energizes me for a good 4 months, big time. And then I'm like in normal mode after that, and I'm enjoying it still. And then actually, I'm usually not liking it, but I actually find that sometimes just taking some time to just reflect on what I miss and like focusing on other things, vacations during the summer and other stuff makes me really energized for the hobby.
Yeah. One thing about the hobby aspect of it is the painting is the one thing I always miss. It's like everybody gets focused on like the throwing the dice and playing the games themselves, the camaraderie that you can get from a group of people. But there's other times it's like, it's just, to me, very, very relaxing just to spend an hour or two here or there over the course of the day or other days. It's like, I find myself looking forward to, it's like the last couple days. And I spent yesterday just not, it's like, I am going to get this done. And I just tuned out everything. And it's like, that's all I'm doing today.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other days where it's like, today, it's like, man, I was like out of town. I was running around, picking up, I had to go to the airport, pick somebody up, do all kinds of stuff. And it was like the entire time I was like, man, I really want to be at my desk painting some miniatures. And it's like you find yourself yearning for your hobby time. And when you actually get it, it's like a dessert. You know, you've been thinking about it all day, or going to see a movie for the first time. Speaking of movies, have you got to see the new Avengers movie?
This weekend. I've not, I didn't want to go opening weekend, but we're going this weekend. And actually it's family time. We're all going. Yep. So we're all going to go this weekend for sure. No spoilers, please. Between Game of Thrones, which I'm not going to watch until the DVDs come out this season, between that and Avengers, I almost can't look at anything because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's another topic. But
well, it's part of balancing out your lifestyle is there's other enjoyments. It's like you enjoy watching movies and films too, yeah, and critiquing it. That is a hobby.
Yeah.
That, you know, you're taking from one hobby time to actually spend over. And I got to see the Avengers movie twice now. So
so I'm guessing it's not bad at least. Okay.
Advice: do not when you go watch it, the last 70 minutes or so, don't leave. Don't leave the theater at all.
I never do anyway. Like I would never leave. I could my teeth could be chattering and I don't leave. Like a movie. I'll leave. That will never happen. I'm handing out tickets to my kids because I'll get all the tickets and they'll all be like, Dad, can I get a ticket so I can leave and come back because they want to use the restroom or whatever. I'm like just handing it out like go. Like,
yeah.
There's no way I miss anything.
Well, the second time, you know, it's like we went and we had the large popcorn because I didn't get any popcorn or drinking the first time I went because I did not want to leave the movie at all. And I was like, oh, wow, holy crap, this is awesome. You know, it's like a movie's like broke up into 3 segments.
But did you like this one? Did you like the last one?
Yeah.
Okay, as much?
This one's better.
Okay, that's all I need to hear. Because I'll be honest, as much as I'm a huge Marvel fan and things, and as much as I know that like something bad had to happen and they took risks with the last one, I wasn't feeling the last one as much. Like I like the first 2 Avengers better than the third. And it's not because there was the bad thing. It's just for whatever reason, I just wasn't as much. And so I'm really looking forward to being pulled out of my funk, of my Marvel funk at the moment. Because, you know, like, yeah, I just haven't been feeling it as lately compared to the beginning and midstream of all these things. And so I'm really looking forward to it. You're getting me psyched even more.
Oh, yeah. It's like the second time, it's like my wife, she yelled at me. She chewed my butt out. It's like, you went and seen the movie without me? Well, my son wanted to see it, and that's the only time he could have seen it. I don't care. We're going to see it again. It's that good? Yes, it's that good. We're going to see it again.
That's funny.
It's like, I'm going to see it with you coming or not. It's like, okay. So she pre-ordered the tickets and got it set up. So our seats were all set up where we're going to sit. And it's like the second time, it's like, all right, I know exactly when I can leave the theater because I know what the scenes are. It's like, I'm going to go refill the popcorn and the drink and I'll be back. And she's like, it's like, is it? So it's like, I got to do it now because I don't want to miss any more of the movie. It's like, so it was good. That's another thing is like you do have to schedule other things in life other than just throwing dice at people, beating people over the head with a sword, or that kind of stuff.
Right. Well,
let's say one of these times I'm gonna have you see me show up on one of these episodes, and I'll be all decked out in my gear, and you'll be like, "Who's that?"
Your Batman outfit?
No, it's gonna be my chainmail and all that stuff.
Okay, there you go. That's good. Like that'll be good for Saga.
Yeah.
Well, we got lots of
comments,
but I can't quite follow it. I don't think it's actually on our topic, so I think people are just enjoying.
It's on a roll place.
Good, yeah, that's good. And I think Joe may have left, so thanks for signing on, Joe. We do appreciate you joining. Why don't we open up our next one? Do you want to continue the trend? You want to open this one up?
Oh, we can. We'll open it up here in a second. I'm just reading through the comments real quick, see if there's anything really cool that popped up. No, that's pretty much okay. I think we're up to date. All right.
So, all right.
Okay. All right. So the second one is you have your choice. I did my impromptu survey. Survey says, ding, the choice of purchasing a Forge World model, a Sanguinius, or a PS4. And I asked this question. You were there one of those nights that when we were doing I pulled my son, and he just kind of looked at me, going,
"Yeah,
kind of stupid question is that?"
Well, wait, before you say the answers, and I'll when I do my response, I'll lead up as to how I thought of this one when we were talking and how it came up. But why don't you show the picture of the Sanguinius? Do you have it?
Let me pop it up here. Okay, get that there. Let's figure out how to do a screen share. And
little window will pop up and ask you when you want to share. You just hit the screen share on the left.
Oh, I got too many windows open. Yikes. Close that one. Oh, it's trying to go to my other one. Go this way.
Oh, there we go.
What do you see?
Oh, there we go. We see it. I see it.
You see it now?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's a beautiful model. Really beautiful.
It's got a beautiful price tag too.
Well, okay. So you lead. Open up the topic.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing now. Okay, we back. You see me again?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I did a survey. Says the question is, do you buy? You have a choice. Go to Forge World and buy a miniature off the Forge World, or buy a PS4 gaming console. And I asked this question of people I know and running around. And what do you think the question answer would be?
Okay. So go ahead. Did you want to say the answer, or?
Well, the vast majority, everybody is like, it's like, I'm buying the PS4.
Yeah.
Because they want instant gratification. There's so much work that has to go with the other one. The other one, you can just plug it in, hook it up, throw your games that you have in, and then you're like,
yeah,
you're playing, you're having fun. You can invite your friends with it, and you can play together with it, type of thing. Or you can play online with them. And first person I ever asked that question, you were there, and my son just kind of gave me this look like, duh, PS4. And everybody else I asked, it's like, all duh, PS4.
Yeah.
And that is one of the problems we're having with a lot of the young crowd today, I think, is that they rather have the instant gratification of buying a console or playing with a console than they would putting all their money into a miniature.
Yeah.
All right. How say you?
Okay. Well, you could define this a couple of different ways. And if you remember, we were texting, right? And I had saw that this model came out, and I was like, oh, wow, look at this. Because I love the Warhammer universe. I love reading the books. I know the scene that they're doing here. Like I read the book, that it was in. And everybody has been waiting for a really good Sanguinius model for a long time. And there are many people that are just jumping out of their skin for this. Like when they see it, it's great. I love the Forge World character series models. I really like them. I liked it. I would love to paint one just to paint it and put it on a shelf. I don't play 40K. I don't need it to game, but I love the detail. It's really quite amazing. And so I looked at this and I'm like, oh, like I haven't been over Forge World in a while, and I see this is out, so I'm going to go over there and I'm going to take a look at it. And you said it was 200 US. I think I saw that it was like 240 Canadian.
Yeah.
And the moment I saw that, I just laughed, because I was like, yeah, whatever. Because the thing is that the thing's made of resin, and it's a beautiful detail, but this, it's a resin sort of somewhat fragile model. I've ordered stuff from Forge World in the past. A lot of times I get bitsy that are either missing or bubbles in it. So most likely when it arrives, it's not going to be perfect. There's a good chance. And one thing I'll say about Forge World, they always make good on it. So then I'll just have to wait. I have to plan to wait for another couple weeks, for maybe a bit to be sent out or something. They'll always make good on it. But then at the end of the day, what I'm going to have is on like in my cabinet here, I'm going to have a model that's going to collect dust that I'll enjoy painting. I'll enjoy looking at it. I'll have it for a long time. But that's all it's going to do, is just really sit on the shelf. And it's this fragile thing. Now, the first thing that came to my mind before I even thought of PS4 is I thought, I'd rather have like 2 regiments of these metal minion stuff for my French Indian War. I'd rather have a full Grenadier regiment and then something else. Another 2 regiments, like, Grenadiers, maybe Scottish Highlanders, beautiful metal miniatures, beautifully casted, stuff I can game with, open up my French Indian War collection further. So immediately, that's what I thought. There's no way I would buy that. Like, I'll buy the French Indian War stuff, the 2 battalions that I'll game with and paint up and have forever, and they'll be made of metal. I won't worry about something happening to them. Easily. But then I thought to myself further, and I'm like, 240 Canadian. And I'm like, I got to have that delivered. That's pretty close to me getting a PS4. I mean, I know the PS4 is a little bit more, but not that much more. And I'm like, a PS4. So I don't game a lot. And so for me, this discussion is not about video gaming versus tabletop gaming. I think that would be a good discussion in of itself, but it's not this discussion. This discussion is a value for money discussion and utility for me. And so the PS4, I use all the time as a DVD player. I can play games on it as well. And, you get so much utility and time out of it, potentially. But it's funny because it's actually not that far off from the price of a little piece of detailed plastic. Is that the 3?
Yeah, it's the 3.
The 3, I could tell it was the 3. It's not that much in price from a little perishable piece of detailed plastic. Is this actual hard drive thing that's multifunctional that you can use in so many different ways, is actually not that far in price of that thing that you just showed on the screen. And to me, that's nuts. Like, when I saw that, I mean, I realize there's expensive stuff for Forge World. It's not the first time, but like this is not that big. This is not a Titan. This is not a big, even a Knight or anything like. And so to me, it's PS4 hands down. And I actually prefer miniature gaming to video games. I don't really play video games, but I would actually buy the PS4 over that any day of the week.
Yeah, I could sort of agree with you. Is that I do have the 1 character Mortarion.
Mm-hmm.
I have Mortarion in the Forge World miniature, and I put them together. I have them primed, and I started working on them, but I haven't got any farther with it because I was going to build now, if I have a Blood Angel army, I would consider that is the pinnacle of my army. I would have to have it.
Yeah.
I have a Death Guard Chaos army. So to me, it is like I had to have the Mortarion miniature to go with it, just for the fact that I wanted something to have. And at the time, they didn't have the Chaos version of it. And I think you've seen the Chaos one I did have. That was it's not a Forge World one.
Right.
And it was one of those things where I made the choice of, it's like I could have bought something else, a whole bunch of different other miniatures, but I wanted something that is kind of like the last thing. It's like say you built a whole army up. To me, that's the last thing you get, because
Yeah.
it is like the pinnacle of everything that you want. But it, like you said, it's kind of ridiculous, is that one miniature is, even the plastic ones nowadays are half the price of a PS3 or PS4, just for a plastic miniature that you just buy off the shelf. And it's getting ridiculous, is the amount of money that can just be sucked up into one miniature that may or may not, most likely not going to see it on the table.
Right.
And nowadays I have, you've seen my knights that I have, like my Forge World knights. I have 3 of them. They're just sitting in a box now.
Right.
And I spent just as much money on a Forge World knight, because at one time I was like, I wanted every knight, but just because I thought they were so freaking cool that I was like, it's like, hey, that's cool. Like you said, there's so much work that goes into a resin model. I spent more time cleaning it, fixing it, than I did painting it.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably twice as much time putting it together or setting it up. Because at first, it's like I had to look at it, it's like, how am I going to set it up, and then figure out how to make everything move to have it set that way, and then glue it together and do everything. And then fixing all the air bubble holes that there were, because it's guaranteed they're going to have air bubble holes, unless you want to make them into, it's like, oh, there's a bullet holes, type thing. So it is a kind of a labor of love, but if you're not wanting to spend that money, there's plenty of other things that are going to attract your attention. And because, like you said, you can use that PS system to watch movies on. You can communicate, talk with your friends on it.
Yeah.
You can do all kinds of stuff with them nowadays.
Well, and like some folks could say, well, Palmer, this is art. Like, when you look at art, if you're to look at functionality, because I kind of painted an argument around functionality. So we talked about like DVDs, you mentioned you can chat with people, you can play video games, you can do so much stuff. But then like somebody could say, well, how do you put a price on art? Like, like how do you put a price on something like when it's not about functionality? Maybe it's about design, and maybe it's about this or that. And that would be a fair comment if somebody was to say that. But my argument would be this, that you're not buying original art.
No.
Like even when you buy prints, that have multiple numbers or limited editions or whatever, it's not the same as when you buy an original piece of artwork. When you get something that you hang on your wall, and you're buying something that artists, put their total creativity in, you're getting the original. And so you're buying still a mass-produced thing here, and at the end of the day, it is art, and it's somewhat, it's about the Forge World stuff for miniature tabletop gaming hobby is about as high end as you get, as far as like the price point. And, to some degree, it might even be, like they're selling less of them, right? And so they're not always limited, but it's kind of limited in the sense that it's priced that way, where you're getting a lot of the artist's effort and exquisite detail for a real high price point. And so it's kind of bridging those sort of discussions, I think. But, for me, it's still mass produced, and, it's still meant to have a functionality. And we could go into the discussion as to how much you're really going to get out of that on the table, as far as over time. Some people are going to get more than others. But it's just funny because, like, you look at your value for money, and you look at what you can get for $300. So you're into hunting. I don't really know anything about hunting, but like, what kind of gun can you buy for $300?
Well, for $300, you can buy. Well, nowadays, I haven't purchased anything in 20 years because I have a large collection. But yeah, it's you can buy, like, let's say if you're into sport shooting, you could buy an AR-15 for $300, and just go to the range or go out with your buddies and blow through 500 rounds, which is actually, the 500 rounds is almost more than the gun was. But it's one of those things where if you my son wants to get a shotgun, so he was looking at like a Remington 870, I think it was, pump shotgun.
Mhm.
They were like $375. So you can buy one of those. It's like the very first shotgun I ever got was a Remington 1100, and I picked that up. My dad gave it to me actually for my senior year in high school, and that was the first one I ever got. It was truly mine. That wasn't well, I had one that was gifted from my grandfather, but it was something I still can use.
Okay, so from what I've heard here, what was that first one you said? AR-75? Is that what you said?
AR-15. It's
AR-15. Okay, so AR-15. What range is that meant to shoot at?
An AR-15 is a sport rifle, that semi-automatic rifle, and you can shoot targets out. I've hit targets without to 500 yards with it.
Okay, so let's just go with that. So this is my point here. You can buy a gun that can actually shoot 500 yards, semi-automatic, so you can even shoot them fast if you want, and you're going to obliterate whatever it hits. And you can do that for a little bit more money than a little piece of plastic.
Yeah.
Okay, and so this is where I get to. Like, we could call this video also Sanguinius or the AR-15. But my point is functionality-wise, forget the fact that this is steel, and it's engineered and it's for a purpose, and it's specialized. But it's just when you look at things and as to how crazy the price points are for what you get, it's totally nuts. You can apply it to a number of things. It could be a PS4, it could be an AR-15, it can be something else. But it just that much money for a little piece of sculpted plastic that's molded and shot out, mass produced. It's just insane. All right, let's look at the comments. You looking at the comments?
Yeah, I'm looking at the comments right now. Okay. Let me see here. We got a few. Cobra is like, what did you get me into, Striker? Well, welcome to the gaming world. The other aspect of it, it's like you guys are playing BattleTech online. This is the actual miniature version of it. Okay, you can go to Walmart and pick up a 12 gauge for $300.
Yeah. So Dan Booman made a couple of comments here. He goes, I'll definitely buy miniatures and let the PS4 go, but maybe not Forge World though. And then he says, Palmer, you just need to decide what gives you more enjoyment for your money. That's the bottom line. And
yeah, that's right.
It is true. I mean, you do all these different things to enjoy them, and that is true. I mean, like, at the end of the day, if somebody says, I don't really care about what my money can do for me and all these things out there, like, it doesn't matter to me whether I have a television. Like, I would take, somebody might say, I'll take, like, a Sanguinius piece of plastic over a television, because I don't really like to watch television, so I'll take this and I'll buy it because I'll enjoy it. And that's absolutely fine. And like I said, I'm not saying that I want to run out there and buy, because I don't hunt, I don't shoot. So I'm not saying that I want to run out there and get an AR-15 because it's much more functional and it's much more devastating, do all these things over my historical army, like getting 2 regiments, because it's true, like, based on what Dan said, like, I will enjoy that more, but I can get a lot more functionality out of that, and I get a lot more out of that. Like, I'm going to get like 75 miniatures and actually play a game with them versus having that one piece of an army that is just this one little small piece of plastic that's just a designer thing that is totally overpriced in my mind.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the market answers. I mean, like, this is an economics question too, in the sense that they wouldn't put it up there for that price
if it didn't sell.
Weren't buying it. Like, the market is the answer, and that is true. Like, at the end of the day, that price is coming down if nobody buys it. But, like, the discussion we're just having here is just how sometimes it just seems kind of crazy as to, like, what the price of some stuff is versus what you actually get, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
Well, I was just brought up a good thing, as it had me thinking about Dan, is that he's kind of keeps pushing that American War of Independence button. That's very hard on me.
Mm-hmm.
Warlord Games. I was trying to figure out what company it was. Warlord Games. They have their Liberty or Death box set.
Mhm.
I think they list price at like $300, but you can pick it up like on eBay. I've seen it for $200 on eBay.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I had a choice between picking up that box or Sanguinius, I'm sorry. It's like I would, if I had that money burning a hole in my pocket right now, it's like, I'm sorry, Sanguinius, you're not that important. I'm going to pick up where I get 300 miniatures and I can build a massive table's worth of miniatures and then replay whatever battle I want in the American War of Independence.
With any rule set you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so it's interesting.
And it's like, what is the value to you? Because you're the customer. It's like, you can choose. If I have purchased the Forge World stuff before, and now I kind of regret it. I enjoy putting it together and working on it. And it's like getting it all done. It's like, it looked really great while I was still able to use it. I'm sorry, but 8th edition sucks. But you know I had to put that in there, didn't you?
I thought you were just gearing up to start playing it again. I'm the observer here, but I'm just watching you down it and then think you're going to do it again. And
oh man, it's just like something's wrong with it. Well, you go from having where knights and stuff like that are able to just crush things and feel like they're actually playing something that's just catastrophic if you see it on the table. If you're infantry, you look at the, oh my God, here it comes. It's going to just mangle us all, because that looks like an unstoppable beast marching its way across the table. Now you just have, infantry, unload it with their little las guns and they'll kill it. It's like,
swing.
It's like, no.
We got a couple of comments here. Actually, want to say hello to a couple more people that jumped in. Craig Martin from New Zealand, as well as Clark Stepp has joined in. So,
okay.
A number of new faces that I've not seen on the show yet. So, thank you for joining. Craig just says that a lot of stuff's really expensive in New Zealand, and so you really have to focus on a couple of things. Example: Perry Plastics box sets around $40 here, and and so honestly, this topic came out of a bunch of laughing. Like Rusty and I saw this and we just started laughing and we're like, we need to talk about this. This is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek topic. Now, it's kind of impossible for me to completely go tongue-in-cheek on the show because I pretty much am going to try to analyze whatever we're talking about. So I am sort of saying how I flabbergasted at like the utility of that price point. But at the end of the day, it's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek topic just in the way we look at our hobby and how things can go. I mean, at the end, really, like, terrain is another whole topic we could talk about in the price. And just there are some ways that you can get terrain really cheaply. You can make it yourself on a 3D printer. You can make it from scratch, actually, at home. That really the price there is time. That's a whole nother discussion. But some of the really nice and beautiful terrain that's out there, some of it is actually really quite expensive. I mean, you could blow $600 on a table. It's worth it pretty easily.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have to ask yourself, like, somebody could turn around and say, well, Palmer, I can play all of that and get a lot of games out of it. I can play that for many years. And it could be considered worth it, by many people. But then you could also argue that what is it really made out of? And what is it that you're really buying that's costing $600? And so then it comes back to what you enjoy and how much you're going to get out of it and how you justify it. And for everybody, that's going to be different.
Yeah, it's a matter of where are you in your gaming life? So if you're just starting out and it's like you really want to get it, say you want to start playing, let's bring up that one big gorilla company that we're talking about here. And it's like, oh man, I really love these Blood Angels. They're speaking to me. So, okay. So I want to go buy the Sanguinius model and put it on the table. And that's like, and it's just like, I'm playing with somebody and they do that. And I was like, stop. Buy these units over here, buy this. That's the last thing you want. And where you have to put the value to what you're purchasing, because there is certain points in your career. It's like, all right, if I'm going to build one army, this is the army I build. It's like I need these units, I need these units, I need these units. So I'm going to go out and purchase this one. I'll say I need some line troops. I need 3 tactical squads. I need an assault squad. I need some heavies. Okay, I need some panda bears, type of thing. So you're going through and it's like you build this unit, and this unit, and finally it's like, I think I got enough vehicles here. It's looking pretty good. I think I can. It's got an all-comers type of feel to it. Now I'm going to go buy the Forge World model. And then after you say you bought the Forge World model, so you got the Sanguinius, and then you're sitting there, now what? Well, maybe it is worth. It's like you have all this money that, say you're single, don't have a family, so you don't have that. Let's go back to our previous discussion of time or whatever you. So if you're a single person, that's just you. So you either have a job, which is paying you enough to get into the hobby, which you're going to need a miniature loan or something, which is called a job. And so you have the money to do it. So you have job and yourself. That's it. So you spend, that's a lot of the younger crowd that does get into, let's say 40K or anything, they have the money because they're either that type of deal.
I think that's an amazing point. I think if you don't need the money, then it's worth the investment.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking because it's just kind of funny.
Well,
if you have no priorities and you don't need the money and you don't need money, let's say, like, let's just say you don't need money, then this is a great investment.
Yeah.
But you know, what I would, my kind of thought is that somebody could make another good argument, I think. And that is, this is a centerpiece model, you know, in a lot of ways. If somebody says to me, well, I'm going to paint this for 2 weeks. Like, I'm going to actually sit down and take my time and try to get this to be as good as I can get it. And I'm going to spend 2 weeks on it. So if it's like $200, $250 and you divide that over 2 weeks, that's like me buying McDonald's every day for those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, like at the end of the day, if I'm going to spend that much time on it and I'm going to really enjoy it and it's going to be a painting project, then whatever, you know, like, even though it's not as functional as buying something else, like with that money, you know, I'm going to justify it at the end. But it's just, you know, like I said, tongue-in-cheek topic. I do think it's just crazy. The pricing's insane for what you're getting with it. But at the end of the day, to each his own.
Well, that's just it. It's like, what do you want to spend your money on? I could go out into my driveway and put another $5,000 into my '69 Cougar, and it'd be like dropping. If you get into restoring cars are a money sink. It's like, you want to talk about spending money on other hobbies, and that's another hobby that I have, which I'm thinking about trying to get. No, I can't say that. I'm actually like, do I get rid of this car, fix this car, and then get a different car? That's kind of how I look at it. But it is, any hobby you have can be a major sink or cannot be. It may be just a simplistic thing where it's like, all right, I know that I can go to Wargames, Warlord Games, and they, for $30, they'll have, let's say, a British box, and I think there's like 30 plastic miniatures in it for $30, which is a heck of a deal. And it's like, all right, this month I'm going to spend $30 on it, and then I'll put them together and then paint them over the next month. And then after I get them all done, I'll go spend another $30 on some colonials. And then over the course of the year, you may put in, let's say, $150, $200 into the hobby, and you have a large army. So it could be as little as you want, but most of us have a hard time with restraint when it comes to it. It's like, yeah, you get that enthusiasm, and it's like, I want everything. And then next thing you know, it's like you have everything, and then you go, I can't put it all together or paint it all. And the next thing you know, 4 years later, when you're done, you know, that could be a problem. But going back to one of the other points I was saying is that it's your money where you can spend it on as little as you want, as much as you want. It's your life. If you want to live in debt, that's fine. It's your life type of deal. But you have to justify. There's got to be some justification. We're in your hobby. Is it necessary? That's the big thing. Is this thing necessary?
Yeah.
You got
and that's the thing. Nobody can tell somebody else what to do with their money. And this topic and the way we're presenting it is not meant to say otherwise. Like, we're not trying to tell people you're stupid or like you can't do this or that. I mean, people are welcome to do whatever they want. It's about making yourself happy. But like, I think it's sometimes helpful to have I think it's helpful when we internally, each of us, have kind of self-introspection as to how we spend our money, and we will all still do it differently. Like, one of my hobbies, which it's probably a tier below wargaming in this, but there were times when it was above for sure. Is I'm really into saltwater aquariums, like saltwater aquariums, coral, and things like that. About 10 years ago, I bought 2 power heads, which are basically pumps that the motors are external to my tank, and they spin propellers, and they move water around, and they're wireless. So they talk to each other. One can actually blow water while the other one's blowing this way. One can go this way and create wave action. It can go at different frequencies. I have all different settings. They're smart pumps. They've run for 10 years. So these things have run 24/7 for 10 years doing all this. They basically push nutrients to coral and all this stuff, move waste away. They cost me $500 a piece 10 years ago. They're top of the line stuff, and they're still going since then. And so for me, I can, at the time, I'm like, because I've always done this, where I kind of try to self-rationalize what I spend for hobbies and things like that. And at the time, I thought, gosh, man, like, I'm kind of shelling out some change to do this. But the saltwater aquarium hobby is not a cheap hobby either.
No.
And, but they've lasted me 10 years. I'm like, now I'm looking at $100 a year. And
and you divide that by 12.
Less, you're looking at less than $10 a month, since then. And so you just sort of have to justify these things. But for me, the utility's there. Like, it's for what I wanted it to do and for how dependable it was and all the work it's done. Like, it's been there. And then on the other hand, I can say, well, I can buy an airbrush setup, and the compressor is going to cost me around $250, and then an airbrush another $100. And I can think about that, and I'm going to say, if I want to use an airbrush like that, that's going to last me a while, and it's pretty functional. I can do a lot with it. And so I can justify, whether I want to do that or not, and try to make that conclusion. But for me, I have trouble when it's just one piece of plastic that's going to cost the same amount as some of those other things.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Is that, okay, talking about terrain. Clark is talking about joined a bit late. Okay, especially if terrain units a bit different. I like to figure the quality units or figures, but I would rather find deals, pre-owned or stuff. Yeah, that's the old eBay thing. If you if you're always searching for a good deal, eBay is the way to go. Dan said, I spent a ton on 28 mil total battle miniatures and buildings, but they worth it to me. That's a good thing. Is like, one of the things that most people kind of forget about is that getting terrain. Because if you're one of those individuals that go to spend a lot of time going to like the game shop, you may not have your own terrain, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where I'm constantly trying to upgrade my terrain by here, something there, something there.
Yep.
Let's say striker topic. You could buy a Forge World miniature, which is shown, buy a PS4. Which one would you buy? Both are close to the same amount, $300. Yeah, it's a hard thing. Is for us, we're gamers. I think we were going to find a way to spend that $300 on games. We'd rather spend it on gaming stuff than a console or something else. And sometimes our products that we do pick up eventually, we look at it and go, it kind of falls to the wayside. Occasionally it's like I'm looking through my game stuff now. It's like past projects. And it's like, do I really want to? I have boxes of stuff I realized that I haven't opened yet.
Yeah.
So it's like I had a great idea for this demon army. I was going to build a Slaanesh army. Yeah. And I have probably 5 or 6 boxes of Slaanesh miniatures. They're still in the wrapper. They haven't been opened.
Right.
And I bought them just before they changed to 8th edition. And when they went to 8th edition, it was like they just shot it in the foot. And I was like, I'm not going to worry about it now. But that's money that's just sitting there. Do I want to get rid of it or not?
Well, Stryker said something there. He said, I think the consensus is buy the miniature or miniatures. It's a miniature. Sure, it's necessary. And so,
yeah.
From Craig says, do what you enjoy. Dan, get a look at Mount Doom. Every day at work, I only erupted once in my lifetime. I think the funny thing is that when you talk about a bunch of miniature gamers, I guess it's not surprising that people will say, like, don't knock buying miniatures, buy the miniatures. But at the end of the day, what I would say is ask yourself how many times you want something and you say you're not going to buy it when you see the price tag. And then also ask yourself on what you also spend in your life, that you would spend that equivalent amount of money and probably not bat an eye at. And think about it from that perspective. Like, you got a $200 purchase. You're thinking, I'd definitely pick that up. I'd hit that and paint that any day of the week. Like, I love that, and then you don't buy it. Like you let it sit there, right? You don't buy it and you think about other things, whatever. But then when something's needed in your life that's highly functional, $200 is nothing, right? That's my perspective, at least. And for me, that's the internal rationalization, the internal economy that goes on that we almost subconsciously apply anyway.
Yeah, it's when you're sitting there looking at it, going, okay, gosh, it's like the number of times it's like I'm looking at a bunch of miniatures, and it's like, okay, I'm looking at the Warlord game stuff. Like, I'm bringing it up because I'm really been looking at the it's gone as far as, like, what is the second edition of the
Black
powder rules? How much is that going to cost me? And so it's like, so I kind of, all right, how much do I have to, so I do need to sell some stuff. It was like, so I have actually rationally looked at it. It's like, do I sell all these miniatures that I'm not going to use ever, probably, turn around, sell them, and then convert them into more game stuff? So you do justify, like how much you're going to spend. And then you look at over the course of a year, how many times you go to like McDonald's or Burger King and just not even think about, I'm buy a meal, and you spend $7, $8 on a meal, and you do it once a week for a month. And then you realize, how much did you spend on just food that you could have just bought at the grocery store and saved yourself some money, but you spent it anyway because you just wanted a burger.
Well, when you upgraded your equipment for your internet recently,
yeah,
I'm sure that you didn't have nearly as much trouble justifying the hardware for the internet for your household as you would if that was actually the price of one plastic miniature.
No, I didn't have any. It's like I went to the Best Buy, and it's like, I need to upgrade my system because I want something that goes a little faster because I'm getting this internet. And they go, you want this right here. This will do the job for you because this is what you're buying. It's like, okay. And I spent more than Sanguinius on a router and all that stuff, so I could be sitting here doing what I'm doing now and talking to you, and you can see my face instead of like.
Occasionally, your blood angels will die by that demon because of that. Yeah. But that's the only.
Yeah. Sometimes that demon's gonna win.
Yeah. So a bit of a tongue-in-cheek topic, but it is interesting. I find it interesting in the same way that I rationalize getting into games and not getting into games for lots of different reasons, not even money, like just for like headspace and painting time and distraction and things. It's interesting to see how we all rationalize how we put our expendable income into things, and you can make the argument somebody might once a year, they may want to go out and go for a gourmet meal. Like maybe somebody's like into food, and once a year they say, you know what, to hell with it. I know it's like way too much money for one meal. I could go out and make my own meal with the best ingredients for like 1/10 of the cost of this. But once a year, somebody may want to take their wife out for a gourmet meal, and it may cost more than a Sanguinius. And then who's to say that person's wrong to do that? If that's what they want to do, and if they're able to, then that's what it is. But, yeah,
that's where we're both married. Once a year, it's like the anniversary comes around. We go out and have a meal, and you spend some money going out and have a nice dinner, and go to a movie, go have a nice meal or whatever it may be. You spend a little, kind of a night on the town just to that's the family part of it, where you have to reconnect on those bonds that you have as a family unit versus spending that. It's like I could easily spend that $100 or $150 on miniatures easily.
Yeah.
Without even blinking an eye. But
you don't ask yourself that you could spend it. You're in your head, you're envisioning the miniatures you just spent.
Yeah.
You can see the regiment in your head as they're serving the meal.
I just ate an entire British regiment just now. It tasted good.
That's right. That dessert alone costed me an entire artillery battery.
Yes.
So, well, okay. So fun discussion. We thought we had fun with it when we were talking offline about it. We thought we'd share it with you guys, and I think it's actually, it's created some interesting discussion. So, and I think the answer is still buy the miniatures. So,
at some point, if you are a Blood Angel aficionado, you're going to buy Sanguinius. Forge World is going to be happy with you because you eventually saved up the money, or you just went say, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, here's my credit card type of thing. But we're going to justify it one way or another eventually. And it's the same thing with, like, if you were big into console gaming, you justify buying the
next one
or Xbox or whatever it may be. You're going to justify purchasing it and then buying for future games because most of the time I spend my time playing on Steam. Striker plays on Steam because we played a lot of the same games and stuff. But occasionally it's like it's one of those things where you don't like painting all the time. You don't like playing miniature games all the time. You don't feel like watching a TV show or movie or something. You want to do something totally different. And that's part of the whole fun of it, is just making yourself a more balanced individual instead of focusing on just one thing. It's like, get a little variety in your life, that type of deal. And that's what the fun of it all is.
My closing advice on the topic would be that if you're going to buy the Sanguinius model, Surgeon General's warning is very thin layers of paint.
All right. My name is Dan Cook, and I'm the Surgeon General. And I tell you, you take one rattle can, there's one rattle can, and you spray, make sure this rattle can of black primer that you picked up is all on that model, so it looks just like this when you're done priming it. That's all I gotta say.
That's right. We had some good comments here. Well, one, Dan's given some advice to you just on some rule sets. Going with the Land of the Free rules for a larger scale AWI works better than black powder. It's specialized for it and look very good. Craig says, totally agree, guys. Bought Indian takeaways the other night. All I could think was another battalion of infantry I could have bought for better feed the family. Clark says, taking the wife out to dinner on anniversary night is a bigger investment in your miniature gaming than buying miniatures with that money, which is a good point because got to keep everybody happy. And so,
yeah, definitely.
Actually, investing in the hobby is about investing in all the other aspects of your life. Totally agree. And Dan says that I debate every hobby purchase to death. I overthink things like Palmer. Do I overthink things? No. All right. Well, I think we are approaching 20 minutes after the hour, so we are
probably been in there long enough.
Yeah, I think we've actually done our topics pretty good justice tonight.
Yep. Well, like I say, one in closing, going back to our first subject, is family. Family is very important because with the wife, if she's not happy, she sleeps with you and she knows where all the knives are.
There you go. Wisdom for the ages.
Yeah. I'll let you close this out and we'll shut her down.
Well, yeah, I think we've kind of done it justice for the most part. A couple of good fun topics for the evening. I appreciate everybody joining. I had a lot of new names in here tonight I've not seen yet. So thanks everybody for stopping by. And for those of you who don't know, you know, we do actually rotate this. We try to do it every 2 weeks. We go on my channel, Heresy Productions, and we're on Rusty's channel, Hell Corrects, and hope to see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right. So in 2 weeks, we'll be over at Palmer's channel up in Canada. And then
you can access it from anywhere, though.
Yeah. So you don't have to be in Canada to watch it. It's like, well, the fun's about the internet. All right. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and we'll see you all in our channels through our videos. All right. Talk to you all later. Good night.
See you, everybody.